Now, one thing is for certain is that within the past 4.5 weeks, give or take, the entire media, the Hollywood bubble, the film industry has been in constant freefall mode, and we all know exactly why. Now, multiple different actors, actresses, producers, writers, directors out there are beginning to go into full-on panic mode. They are playing the blame game train, and they are pointing the finger at the general public for blaming their status right now. Now, the biggest example of this has a lot to do with Robert De Niro, who has been in a lot of trouble when it comes to his acting career in recent weeks based on his overall political comments that he made that were very inflammatory and very, quite frankly, offensive to well over half the entire country. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, Robert De Niro, alright, a lot of people really are beginning to boycott this actor. They want nothing to do with him anymore. They may respect his previous work from years and years ago, like The Godfather Part 2, and many other examples, but what's interesting here is the fact that De Niro is desperately trying to cling to his overall career, whether it's an action movie, a comedy film, whatever it may be, he's losing everything left and right. Now, what's interesting about all of this has a lot more to do with De Niro's overall behavior and his overall status as an actor that's falling apart day by day. And like I said before, this all has to do with his overall rhetoric and how he actually displayed his comments to the general public that just shied away so many people and said, yeah, we don't want to have anything to do with you anymore in our homes. So moving on forward from all of that, alright, to top things off here, with both the Hollywood bubble and the media now in complete freefall mode, like I said before, one monumental development going on now involves more to do with Robert De Niro and his behavior after losing millions of dollars more as other studios are beginning to drop De Niro after he made his inflammatory political comments weeks ago that offended over half the country. Now, a crucial update to this situation now is that not only did Robert De Niro lose 2 major movie roles through Warner Brothers, we covered this multiple times, and was fired altogether by that studio that was going to pay over $20 million for both films that are now no longer happening. A significant update to the situation now involves how De Niro was also dropped from developing 2 family-friendly films, get this, that were labeled as action comedies that were going to be created by Universal Studios. Now, these 2 unnamed projects that were ready to be filmed by early 2026 are now no longer moving forward, and we're going to pay De Niro an estimated $16 million combined. These 2 films were best described to be a spiritual successor to Meet the Parents films that would hold many similarities, divided up into 2 parts in this case. Universal decided to drop De Niro and boot him from these 2 films altogether, where he will not be landing that $16 million deal. This is the second studio in a row now to ditch De Niro after he shattered his political comments to the world that went viral and not working in his favor at all. However, it's still unclear if Universal is ditching/firing De Niro altogether from all films moving forward. For the time being, it's for these 2 movies. Universal's CEO and its executives decided to boot De Niro from these films since they don't want him associated with family-friendly films anymore moving onwards, given the large amount of backlash he has received in recent months. Now, De Niro, however, behind the scenes was best described as showing sparks of outrage and arguing with the CEO's decision to call off these films, as De Niro is trying to bring back his acting career with both mob boss movies and family-friendly films to the table. Now, guys, before I move on, let me just say one thing about Robert De Niro. I think that there comes a point in time in your life, especially when you're an actor, that maybe you might want to consider giving it up or putting it in the past, right? We know that Jack Nicholson did this. We know many other actors really just decided, hey, you know what? I'm up there in age. Let's put acting behind me. De Niro is now 81 years old, in case you guys did not know, alright? And that's, I think, the right age to finally move on from mob boss movies, if anything. Action comedies, that might even be a little bit too much, you know? I think at the end of the day, he should just be making brief cameos at the bare minimum in various movies out there if he wanted to do anything, but quite frankly, based on his behavior, based on the things that he said, I don't think he deserves to be in any film, period, within the film industry. I mean, look what happened to George Clooney, alright? All these big budget studios are shooting him down as well, left and right. They want nothing to do with Clooney anymore. That's why Clooney's now put in a corner where he's only pretty much, you know, being presented with options to put himself in these low-budget movies, actually orchestrated by low-budget productions. So, moving past all of this, alright, so far, he has been getting to a point that De Niro played the blame game yet again, much like he did at Warner Brothers, where he labeled Universal and its executives by removing him from these projects, all because he had a political opinion, when in reality, Universal was very offended over De Niro's rhetoric, and they made that clear to De Niro and his team that that was the reason why, and he would not accept that reason. They did not want to associate with him like that, with De Niro reportedly desperately trying to hang on to his career in his later years. This is where it gets interesting. He is already attempting to strike a deal with Netflix, the very same studio that created The Irishman. Now, Netflix and its CEO, alright, along with the studio heads, were surprisingly are also on the fence of considering to bring De Niro into another mob-oriented movie, sort of like The Irishman, debuting on their platform. However, though De Niro and his entire team, Robert has not been taking the criticism very well at all in recent weeks, where very much like Clooney, he is either losing roles left and right, or studios are firing him altogether. De Niro is also planning to make a public statement, get this, to the public, blaming them for his status as an actor. So I think it's going to be quite entertaining to see what De Niro has to say in the coming weeks when he makes that public statement, pulling the blame game publicly this time around instead of just behind the scenes. I think that'll be a very, very entertaining thing to see. Now again, Netflix, the fact that they're on the fence is a very big thing. I mean, you would think that Netflix would have shot down De Niro outright already, but Universal, I think, made the right call with those two movies, those two action comedies that were best described as a Meet the Fockers-esque type of two-parter film that were going to be filmed in 2026 and divided up, where they would release it in the later portion of the 2020s. Now, like I've said before in the past, I think that De Niro is just really desperate at this point. I think he's got a real big ego problem. I believe he's overly thinking about himself, and he's very self-absorbed. That's why he acts the way that he acts, or he's hiding something, or he's afraid of something. There's something coming out of that behavior that doesn't seem to click right? So, I think at the end of the day here as well, when you have Universal and WB together, these two major studios that want nothing to do with De Niro, or WB wants nothing to do with him at all moving forward, like I said before, Universal, alright, as of right now, it's unclear if they are going to remove him altogether from any movie, period, but they do not want him for those two family-friendly films, alright? He missed out on that $16 million deal. He's not getting that $16 million. He lost that, and it's yet again another example of a slow turn of the tide within the Hollywood bubble, within the film industry. Do I think that we're going to get a full turn of the tide quickly? Not necessarily, but I think it will take many years to get that back to normalcy. So again, I mean, I think at the end of the day as well, De Niro really needs to just call it quits. I think he has to come to the realization that his acting career is pretty much done. It's over, especially after the comments that he displayed in recent weeks. I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.